Warning. This game's setting revolves around an active Middle East combat zone and contains references to extreme violence, graphic content, and other mature themes. Listener discretion is advised.
The Rancor's Brothel presents.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea? What's all these crazy questions they're asking me? The craziest body that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights 'cause I don't wanna see. Mama told me not to come. That ain't the way to have fun, son.
Iconoclasts, a campaign of horrors modern and ancient.
Open up the window, let some air into this room. I think I'm almost choking from the smell of stale perfume and the cigarette you're smoking. Don't scare me half to death. Open up the window, let me catch my breath. Mama told me not to come.
Many different things we think of, Cody's going to find some way to fuck us. So
we need to be able to take surveillance equipment.
Yeah. Is there a cover story that would let
identities that our
right?
papers came through.
Is there a cover story that would really let us get away with having high tech surveillance equipment, or one of those cover story options that would make the most sense? Be like, yeah, I have this for
probably
Welcome
not.
back.
We would.
Oh,
You
hit
are
record.
recording now.
Well, you were talking about the podcast, so I figured rather than talking about the eclipse or Carl Weathers, may he rip, who will protect us from the predators now.
make a soup with
It
that.
wasn't him the first time. Anyway.
R.I.P. Chubbs.
Yep.
Other Carl Weathers movies here. I think I'm most a fan of Carl Weathers in Arrested Development. That might be one of my favorite roles for him.
I just made the reference. You make a soup with that. It's amazing. Oh, Carl
Is
Weathers.
his line?
Is that his line? Is
I
that
think
how?
so.
Yeah.
I got to keep that. You got the Method One acting.
I don't know. I liked Happy Gilmore. I liked him in The Mandalorian too. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about the Mandalorian.
He's great. He was great.
I did like him in the Mandalorian.
yeah,
He's kind of a shitheel.
He's like a greasier Lando in that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was my thought. Is he sort of replacing Lando there? It's just so good because I've talked about it before. But the Mandalorian is a Western, and I like Westerns. And it's a space Western. As I've often said, every single episode in that first season is a classic Western trope.
And they don't try to hide it. I think
No.
that is even in there.
You know what? Honestly, I didn't like the first season that much, and you just saying that makes me like it more. Something just clicks for me there.
Well, to me, it's like it's a bounty hunter episode. You've got a bounty hunter episode, right? There's a train robbery.
Yeah.
There's
literally a train robbery.
There's a prison break. And then I remember somebody at work going, blah, blah, blah. What about I think it's the season finale or whatever. I was like, he ropes a fucking Bronco and yanks a guy off of it. Like, what more cowboy than that?
Yeah.
Like, he shoots his shit into a goddamn TIE fighter and yanks the guy out of it. Like, that's a cowboy fucking move.
Yeah.
The cowboy being dragged behind the horse is a trope. It's no different than the Mandalorian shooting his fucking whatever and, grappling hook onto a TIE fighter. Same thing. So good. Such a good show.
Yeah.
I need to watch the new episodes. Well, they're not new episodes. They're new to me because I don't watch anything on time. I've noticed a disturbing habit where I stop watching shows like right before I'm done with them, and it is the worst.
Oh, by the way, speaking of shows, I wasn't familiar with the manga before, but if you haven't watched Delicious in Dungeons yet on Netflix,
I can't decide if I love it or hate it.
oh my God.
Yeah, give me the elevator pitch. I haven't heard of it.
Top Chef meets Dungeon Crawl.
Yeah.
What? How does that work?
It's like,
So-
we're going to the dungeon, but now we're going to cut up a monster and eat it. And it's like a sustained, here's how you saute a fucking head crab. Like, it's like, the fuck is this?
Like broke adventurers decide they're never going to buy daily rations again. How do we survive? So. And then you meet a dwarf that knows exactly how to cook excellent monster cuisine.
Amazing.
But it's like, I expect in the manga there are actual recipes. That's how detailed that this guy, I've watched 4 of the episodes now. I literally ended the last episode going, I'll watch the next one, but I can't decide if I love it or hate it.
I love it.
I think I hate it, but I'm going to watch some more because I'm not sure.
No, but when I played Nushka in Dave's campaign, I really wanted to give her the cook feat. That would have been very cool.
No.
Knowing how to break down and cook everything she killed.
They do what do I want to say? They do living armor. in one episode. It was very funny.
Yeah, that was.
The rogue disarms a trap room, and the guy points out that that the oil is probably olive oil because it's the most like so they do like a fucking what do you call it? They do like a tempura with the fucking cooking oil from the trap because he has the rogue set the trap off because they know where it is and they can fucking like fry dumplings or something in the tempura. Like
amazing.
The dwarf's like, you need to get the right heat on that. And he's like, that's not how you use a trap.
It has such good moments, but it's my problem with anime. I hate it so much, but it has some really good moments. So yeah, no, Delicious in Dungeon is probably worth checking out. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I got rid of Netflix, so
it's probably on the internet. You find it on YouTube. But it is
Crunchyroll, probably.
Oh, for sure. I would imagine.
But yeah, but that's another service I have to get. I'm not doing that.
It's free if you are okay with ads. At least it used to be. I still pay for it. I watch lots of anime.
Just not an anime guy. Very few. I like vampire anime quite a bit, but otherwise, not a lot. Berserk is good.
I bet I could get Jeff into Chainsaw Man.
I doubt it.
It's pretty fucked up.
I like animated shows. I don't like anime.
Same.
I think it's something where you have to be exposed to it when you're younger to get your brain more used to the conventions. You don't think so?
College.
Yeah, man. Well, that's pretty young. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. When I was
Spencer going for the old man feat.
Yeah.
when I was in high school, I was exposed to Vampire Hunter D, and I enjoyed that.
Vampire Hunter D is excellent, as is Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
I never saw the other.
My intro anime was Inuyasha. So
yeah, but after that, I tried going into other stuff, and I kind of got into Full Metal Alchemist for a little bit, but that's as far as I ever got. And it's a whole different it's a whole different culture.
It is. It's a cultural thing, and there are certain like cultural things that are just sort of accepted. Although I do think, to Spencer's credit, I do think things like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z definitely put an anime imprint on some people. Like that being on Toonami, I think for like people my generation definitely helped.
Yeah. You get used to the conventions. Yeah.
It is a different storytelling method, but like that's the frustrating thing to me is the cooking thing is interesting, but it almost dominates the episode because that's the point. But it's like you're not really moving the story. You're like learning to cook, but it's bullshit cooking because none of it is real, which is part of the joke, right? But at the same time, it's like, oh, we're really going to do this for how many fucking episodes? Like,
I don't know. Those cooking techniques are pretty real.
They are, but it's like, how many times are you going to cook, living armor or fucking, I don't know, dire bats or whatever the shit they were cooking? It's a clever idea, but it's like, it's one of those things that like for a character, beautiful. Yeah. You want a beautiful role-playing character? But like to sit down and watch, like thinking about One Piece, right? Like it's a pirate thing, but it's a pirate thing that's been going on for like 9 million episodes.
Yeah, but Luffy's actually just a terrorist.
I mean, he is, but like I've been watching that and I've been enjoying it. But then it gets to the anime conventions and I'm just like,
yeah,
same reaction. If you like Vampire Hunter D, I also really enjoy Hellsing. I've not seen Hellsing.
Logan has talked about that, and I just
Vampire Delta Green, basically.
Yeah,
yeah, like
it's the anime style. I have a really hard time getting into it.
You can borrow some of the manga. I think the manga is actually much better. Yeah. Hellsing was holy shit. The third volume that I read just turned into absolute bullshit violence. Berserk, I think actually is pretty good from the 2 volumes I've read so far, but it is very much Dark Souls, like macabre D&D style stuff. But yeah, a lot of it I'm not really into. I know I'm fighting against the wind against these 2 guys because I know they both enjoy it quite a bit.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I'm not. I'm not yucking anybody else's.
I'm also very particular in what I watch, though. Like,
yeah, there's some animes
I will instantly be like, oh, no, we're not watching this.
Like anything that's like over the top artistic wise, like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Like I couldn't get into that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So
now I have really enjoyed the horror stuff. What the fuck is the guy's name? I'll have to look at. There's a particular horror writer that the guy at the comic shop got me into, that Justin got me into, that I've enjoyed a lot of the horror manga, and they started doing Netflix shows of this guy's stuff, and I've enjoyed them. They still have some of the conventions that I'm not super happy with, but fuck, what's his name?
Nobody wants to touch your comics, Cody.
You know, the best part is we turned on the recording because we were talking about the game, and then instantly tangent into something that has nothing to do.
I'm going to say that's Cody's fault.
Yeah.
It totally is Grady's fault.
It is.
Yep.
We were doing fine without him.
I should shut up. What the fuck is this guy's name?
Had to start talking about Carl Weathers, and then we tangent into, speaking of shows.
Oh, it was, yeah, 100% his fault.
We're going to lose all of this because nothing. We're talking back and forth to him, and he's not being picked up at all.
Nah, screw it. We'll keep it in.
No.
That's not true. Junji Ito.
Oh, Uzumaki.
Uzumaki is one of the many that I've read, but Junji Ito has a special on Netflix where he does a bunch of horror episodes. Uzumaki was not my favorite, but it was good. So, anyway.
The show Uzumaki, I just actually watched a trailer like 2 days ago.
Oh yeah,
It's weird as shit.
this is very weird.
Yeah.
If I had to summarize it, I mean, it says spiral into horror on it, but it's basically about how spirals murder an entire small town.
Like the geometrical shapes?
Right.
Okay.
Spirals.
I was about to clarify too. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Spirals. Spirals are bad.
Okay.
Yeah, no, spirals.
Nice man butt there.
Yeah, no, spirals. It gets to the point where it's like spirals, tornadoes, like cyclones, spirals.
I feel like something happened to this artist.
Yeah, no, he writes some really fucked up stuff. I'm trying to think of the one that I like the best from him. It was definitely not Uzumaki. There was one about some kids who they formed a suicide pact and went to all kill themselves, but they didn't die and gained superpowers, I think. That one was very cool. I have to find that one. But yeah, I've read a lot of his stuff. Junji Ito, very cool. Do enjoy him. Some DG elements and shit here, but yeah, no. Most of the anime and manga, not so much.
When you say DG elements, it's you mean just like unknowable horror?
Right, yeah.
Gotcha.
Like you get through all of Uzumaki and like at no point do you understand what the fuck is going on. You just become terrified of spirals.
Okay.
Like legitimately by the end of it, the town and all the people and everything else are part of the spiral, and the spiral is the only thing that exists, and we were all a part of the spiral and have always been a part of the spiral, and there's nothing but the spiral, kind of like.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's something you said when we were playing a DG game that has stuck with me. You just looked me in the eyes and you said, "Hey, bud, we're all swirling the drain."
Oh yeah, no. Swirling the toilet is a great metaphor for DG.
See, I look at something like that and I know that I'm missing something. Because if you read it in Japanese, it's something completely different than just the spiral.
That's fair.
That's what I feel like I'm missing in anime.
It's the cultural connection.
Yes.
It's like watching as a kid, watching Dragon Ball Z, you never really understood why his fucking nose was bleeding all the time because that's a cultural Japanese reference.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like there's a show on Netflix called Dark.
That's such a good show.
It really is.
Holy
it's
shit.
fucking amazing.
1,000% if you haven't seen it.
If you watch it with the English dub, it's worse than if you watch it with the German or the English subtitles.
Oh, interesting.
You're missing something in the translation.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Dark, don't Google it, just go watch it.
Yes.
Dark is probably one, if you've not seen it.
I still have to watch the last season.
It is 100% one of my favorite things I've ever watched on Netflix ever.
Yep.
Hands down. It is. I was actually talking to my dad about it just last weekend because he was complaining about how he hates watching things that are dubbed, and my dad can't read fast enough to do subbed. So he doesn't watch a lot of things that aren't produced in English. And I'm like, man, you're really missing out on Dark because Dark is probably one of the best sci-fi
I'm to the
shows I've ever
point
seen.
where I watch everything with subtitles on.
Yeah,
me
I do too.
It's a shame that people have to do that because I feel like we're missing something in the audio balance. As a podcast, that pisses me off because like the audio balance is so important. I feel like we've worked very hard to give good quality audio.
No, I mean even English stuff.
Right. There's a problem with the audio.
Yeah, I realize that I'm missing things that are being said.
And you shouldn't.
Exactly.
It's a professional production. So what are we missing? I heard somebody actually say that we're missing it because most of it is recorded in 5.1 and most of us don't use surround sound.
Well, it's a timing thing too, right? For translation, if something translates to twice the time it takes to actually say it in English, you're going to have to come up with something to solve that. So.
But he was talking about even watching things in English.
I will
subtitles.
watch American television or movies with subtitles on.
And to me, that's bad audio editing. Or, like I said, I've seen theorized they're designing their sound for a 5.1, and if you're just listening to it on a left-right audio, you're getting 2. So basically, you're missing out on 3.1 of the channels they designed it for.
Yeah.
That's why they talk about, the action's always so loud, but the audio is always so soft. It's like, well, probably the audio designer had the audio in the back left-right, but had the sound effects in the front left-right. So if you're on a 2 instead of a 5.1, everything's coming from the front left-right. So so the action is overbalanced compared to the back, left, right.
That makes a lot of sense. My brother-in-law just spent like $15,000 on his own home audio setup, and he's got 9.1 set up.
Wait, 9.
Yeah,
Three.
he's nine. Wait, it's got 9 different channels. I don't understand it.
Where the fuck is the 9 come from? That's a
Center,
grid.
left, right, rear, back. So that's 5.1.
Yeah, he's got
Sides.
sides.
Yeah,
He's got
like the
he's got
Atmos
4 in
thing
the,
going
It might
on.
even be more. He's got 4 in the
top.
ceiling. He's got 2 on the side.
The fuck?
He's got a
Yeah, it's
2.
the
He's got
omnidirectional Atmos.
he's got
technology.
2 subs, and he's got a center channel.
It's not
And
point one. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Anyway, he just said, I just watch a little bit of Top Gun Maverick with me. Oh my god.
You hear the jets like.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's directional. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
amazing.
I imagine you do. Interesting. I would like to see that setup.
It's really cool.
If you can ever get me an invite, let me know. That would be
Heck
very
yeah,
cool.
man.
Because I've dealt with omnidirectional stuff in theater, but you don't. It makes sense. I mean, if they're taking the audio that's directly from the theater and piping that out on the Blu-ray, but I think even Netflix is 5.1. I'm a big audio nerd, Jeff. If you hadn't realized over the
I don't
last
have
decade,
a problem with that.
Jeff's just going, "When are we gonna play the game, Cody? When are we gonna play the game?" When are we gonna-"
No, I'm thinking about editing.
Fuck you, Jeffbot.
Fuck you too, Grady.
It's just going to be.
No,
Yeah, that's a good choice.
no. I hear Jeffbot
guillotine.
saying, "I had to listen to 20 minutes of them talking about nonsense. Here are the 5 good clips." And it's just Spencer like saying, "Fuck, shit, oh hey, watch this random clip." We now begin the episode.
By the way,
Anime sucks.
I'll have everybody else know, in case anyone's interested from this whole audio, I export this shit in mono. So it doesn't matter what system you have. It's not even exported in, because it has to do with the file size. If I export it in left-right channel, I get fewer episodes per month. So we export in mono at 128 bits, in case anyone was curious. So we get radio quality, which is why everyone's like, "Oh, your podcast sounds great." It's like, yeah, because most people do like 96 or less. So fuck them. We do at least 128. I think, to be honest, I did 218 for Dockside Dogs. Give me something to work with.
shut up long enough for it to happen.
1.
You got to leave
Okay.
that.
So, last time we found out
4.
that Irene is underwater.
Correct.
We were talking about this before we started recording, and we wanted to get the conversation on recording. I want to use Irene as an income stream. Get her to shunt CIA funds to us and promise her some that's fallen off the back of a truck to clear herself.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
And we could fund that eventually. I mean, that would take a lot of the pressure off of us, because I have a feeling that really to get the top dollar for the artifacts that we have, fencing them, I feel like we could
don't have
offload
any
them.
artifacts.
I
Yeah,
know,
we
I
do.
know, I-
We have a bunch of clay tablets.
yeah, we have.
You have wins unknown to Adat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure we're distinguishing between the artifacts that you took for your private military contract
Yeah,
Oh, right. Yes.
and wins unknown to
We're
Adat.
not. We're not talking about the Well, we are talking about the statues too, but
Anyway.
we have tablets.
Yeah. My only point there was that if we wanted to get top dollar, it was not going to be a quick transaction.
Correct.
So this gives us some breathing room, but it's
And if she has to sell it to somebody, she's inserting a team to go after Al Jabiri again. We can give her another shot.
That's going to solve our monetary problems, but it's also closing off the CIA as a resource at that point.
Why? We're helping her out.
We're helping her out in her personal life.
if we play our card. I think you're right in that there's a risk that would happen.
Yes.
But if we roll well, then I think we would actually.
But on top of it, we know that she's not going to be able to stay in her current position with the CIA long term if she doesn't do something.
Yeah. The problem with
Because
the
of her
problem with
security
doing
risks.
this is backhanded blackmail, because not only are we offering her a solution, we're saying we know and we can fuck you.
And then on top of it, she's going to have to do more off the book shit
So right now,
to continue assisting us.
we need funds to pay off our activities in London.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we want to do, I mean, we're running pretty dry, and so if we want to do anything else with PMCs, military contractors, we're gonna need some
Or if we need to acquisition more
Yeah.
resources,
equipment or
more equipment. Yeah.
Let's
grease the
see
wheels
about
with the Peshmerga,
liquidating the
or-
winds unknown to Adad to
What's
the
that?
museum first, the museum at Baghdad, or maybe even the Museum of London, and see what that turns up first, and then if
You know, the idea of giving it to London is a
It's a better idea. It might buy us more.
it might pay for
Yeah,
what we're
that's a good
doing, and then
point.
give
That's
us
a good
money as
point.
well.
Yeah.
So-
well, we would need to clear it with Gwen because he is our contact with the UK DG, and if they can secure the stuff that we're not really wanting to give to the Baghdad Museum, then that's a win solution.
It's a win-win-win.
Yes,
I like that.
that's a very good idea.
As long as they don't just cap us once we hand it over and not give us any money.
And then if we still want to exploit Irene, maybe we can approach it differently and leave the blackmails half of that out. If she is interested in getting what's off the back of the truck, then maybe she can scratch our back and we can scratch hers.
Yeah, I mean, we can open the discussion with, can you fund us going after another shot at Al Jabiri?
Because that eliminates the possibility that Irene will conceive her as a threat.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point.
And when she says no, then we can try and sweeten the pot
Right.
for her, and at the same time say, "Hey, fucker."
I think that's the that's the
that is
last
a very
card.
that is a very
we
smart
play.
way
We
of doing it.
Akinte Matumbo her. Not in my house.
So, yeah, I really like that plan. Cody, did you hear?
No, that's fine. I'm giving you a heads up. Or I guess I'm not previously aware. So if you want to enact a plan without me knowing, I went to the bathroom surreptitiously. So
Okay.
I have a good guess of what you're doing, but you do you.
So we want to, I think step one is clearing with Gwen, not giving away, selling Winds Unknown to Adad, right? Who should call her?
She's technically on the phone right now. Where we
Gwen
left
is?
it.
Yeah, we no.
No,
Irene is with Al Rabini.
Correct.
We left it with us on the phone. I don't know he's the character we want enacting this plan. But because she was calling in with intel about the 23 Shia militia that were flayed. She was giving us the information on that there's also an eyewitness cloud of insects, evil jinn stuff. So 4 days ago, 23 Shia militia were the Shia was that coalition forces?
Sorry, I was reading.
Was
Are you
that-
talking to me?
Yeah, was that the 20? That was coalition forces, wasn't it?
Well, I was
The
not paying
Shia,
attention.
the
I was reading.
Shia attack that Irene was calling about, or is it?
I don't know.
23
Or is that-
flayed and
I was
Sightings
reading a
of
chart
Jinn.
called "Chances of Blackmail Success."
well, we've since had further discussions.
Fair
about
enough. Hold on. I'm going to remember that page number in case I need to come back to
Said
it.
chart away.
As you were walking away, what you heard was the start of a plan, which then
To
turned
blackmail her. I understand.
which then turned into something different to start with.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the question was the information that she gave you.
Correct. Yeah.
Hold on. Please stand by.
You said 23 people were flayed.
Yeah. In Mahana, which was a significant distance from Mosul, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
That is correct. I think that there has been a general shocking for 5 white dudes who live in Indiana don't really understand the geography of northern Iraq very, very well.
What?
I do think for our game purposes, this is me generalizing as I often do in games. Let's presume that you're seeing an expansion, but my storytelling expansion of that may or may not be accurate to geography. So, because I think we looked it up, and Mahana is a significant distance. I don't know that I've been storytelling distance in Mosul and the surrounding area appropriately. So,
Can we assume then it's been a gradual expansion from the attacks that we have had coming in?
Or is this a huge jump?
I don't think it's a huge jump. I think you've kind of like heard of a story and that was distant, and then you've heard of another story and that was distant, if that makes sense.
What was the story that was distant? And then there was this story that is distant.
So there was Karak, where we talked about, I think it was Karak, where we were talking about Karak was a district and a city and a province or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that within a perimeter of Mosul, you are hearing about these attacks that share similar stylistic flailings or situations that you're kind of looking for, right?
Flayings.
Flayings.
Even I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, Wheezy Fat Boy, would you like to enter the conversation here? Go fuck yourself, Jeff. And whatever Jeffbot just said.
Hey, month and a half now. I'm not that wheezy anymore.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Good for you. The treadmill is out, so I'm trying to make some positive improvements in my life as well.
I need to start that. Coaching season's coming back around, and I need to get in shape. Be running with kids.
Karate has been fun. Not hard, because I basically do karate with old women and kids under the age of 16. So it's not exactly. I did fucking ruin a 16-year-old's day the other day, which was awesome. I wasn't going to say anything because already Jeff and Schroeder said, Cody, shut the fuck up with their eyes. So I was going on, Spencer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh my god, here he goes again.
So they have these boards, these plastic boards that are like you break the boards, right? Mm-hmm. And I've never actually hit one because I just started class. But I see all the time the kids struggle with them. So I have no idea how much force it actually takes, right? I'm the only male older than 15, right? So the male instructor, who's probably, I'm going to guess 16 at best, right, is holding this fucking board. And I'm like, I'm not going to not break the board on the first strike. Like, because fuck that. I'm the only, like, red-blooded male adult. Like, I can't not break the board.
Because I'm a man, and all these boys need to look up to me.
They don't have to look up to me, but by God, they better fear me. Like, that's the pecking order, right?
Does that make you feel like a big man?
But so in the past, Sensei, who is, you know, a man in his mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, right, has always held the board. Well, this 16-year-old kid's holding the board. So we're breaking them and I'm hitting them each time and I'm breaking them. So the first one, you know, you pop and you're punching through and it breaks. Okay. And you're punching through and it breaks. And like we've gone up, like there's like 8 levels of board, right? So I don't know what the resistance is on this, but I'm not going to not break it on the first strike, right? And so I go to open palm strike this in karate class like everyone else. And the kid, I don't think, was paying attention. And I strike the fuck out of this board and it broke way easier than I expected. And half that fucking board flies out of his hand across the room like 15 feet. And all the under 15-year-olds go, oh, because this white belt just shattered this fucking board.
Just the aliens from Toy Story.
And I was like, I just fucking owned this kid so hard in the middle of class. And now it's going to be a pissing contest between us. Because you know that a 16-year-old is not going to appreciate that. But yeah, he was just like, I was like, it isn't that hard. Like, apparently it's very easy to break those boards in case anyone has that situation in the future.
They're called trainer boards for a reason.
I sincerely believe that your standard like drywall has probably got more resistance than these boards do.
The one that I had hit before that had more resistance than I expected. So I was like, I got to hit this one harder because I was up to like the 5th level of board or something like that.
Some of them get sticky.
So I was like, I want to pop it. So I was definitely striking through, you know, strike hard, strike fast, Cobra Kai shit, right? But it was like,
Jesus, sweep the knee.
The flying crane kick was illegal.
Way to go, Cody. There is no spoon.
But it was like he definitely, like, he turned his head to the side as I struck, and it was just like, you are not ready for the impact of a mid-30s male compared to, you know,
that boy wasn't ready for this much man.
I mean, yeah. Not like I gave him a whole lot of man, but yeah. The thing just went tumbling through the air. It's like, I have ruined all the respect you have gained as a much higher level belt. It's kind of a nonce anyway, but that's fine.
You might have the technique, but I have the power.
Wait,
It's either that or you turn him on. I'm not sure which.
Did you just call him a nonce?
Yeah, that's what I went with.
Does that mean what you think it means?
I don't think you're saying it right.
I'm not saying it right.
Spoiler alert, that word doesn't mean what he thinks it means.
Let's look up the dictionary and everything I say. Interesting. I have to not use.
All right, what are we doing? Let's do this thing.
Here we go. Etymology 2, according to Wikipedia, stupid, worthless individual.
Who's on the phone with?
But it gives you Nance, N-A-N-C-E as well.
Not a good talkie guy.
But
Oh, really? Who is a good talkie?
she's there too.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Where is she?
Weren't they out doing
She was with the Peshmerga.
Oh yes, yes.
Would this be a little metagaming here? But this would be a bureaucracy role, right?
I mean, maybe, but even if it is, I wouldn't want.
Well, we don't have to do the money thing right now. We're getting intel from her.
Yeah.
Right.
Should I let her know that that we're planning to in the future move into Mosul and that we might have future intel that would be helpful to her, and we'll be contacting her, and then call it quits from there?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I just think we may have already told her that.
We haven't.
We haven't? Okay.
She doesn't even know what we're doing.
Yeah, all right.
So I think that's how we'll end that conversation, Grady.
That's fine. I figured you would.
Yeah, but that we'll be in touch very soon.
We're dead.
And when was the Shia attack?
4 days ago.
4 days ago. What is today?
May 10th?
The 10th? That's what I thought.
May 10th is what I have.
Got it.
May 6th was the attack.
May 6th was, I believe, the new moon.
I believe we did corroborate that.
I've officially posted that to fans of the Rancor's brothel, so they can judge us there.
What?
Nonce.
Oh my God, he's still talking about it.
Yeah, no. When Jeff is psychoanalyzing me, he is 100% correct. Definitions and words that I use, absolutely, I like to use them correctly and pronounce them correctly. And fuck you, you piece of shit. And your Jeffbot. Whatever. Carry on. You hang up. Get that. Yep. What do you guys want to do May 10th? I've got nothing else going on May 10th. So, I mean, last session, which was more productive than this session has been so far.
Wonder why.
Whose fault is that?
Don't blame me, you cocks.
This is fun. We're all like working against him. I like it.
Yeah, we just got to do it in the game.
So, quick question to you, Cody. It seems like there's a bit of a timeline on the Peshmerga and their ability to get us a safe house in Mosul, and maybe have us options for incursion into Mosul as we move into the next day. Is there a way for Nasser to check in on that and kind of express the urgency of the situation and get things moving a little bit quicker? Or
I think that you've dealt with the Peshmerga enough that you realize reaching out to the Peshmerga is not an easy button.
I got a huff on their hookah one more fucking time.
It's if you grease the wheels with money and or influence, that will help. But they are concerned about inserting Americans into Mosul via their lines, probably because they don't 100% trust you yet. You gave them some stuff and they appreciate
some tech,
it.
yeah.
Right. But
and I think we left it too, that I left it very open. Is there anything else that we can do for you?
Yeah.
I guess I could check back in with that and see, hey, what do you need?
From a narrative perspective, I think that if you guys come up with something clever, I'll let you use that angle. But it's not like they're going to come to you and say, hey, here's an easy problem you can solve. We'll get you in Mosul.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you come up with something clever, I'll let you run with it.
When you say something clever, are you specifically referring to what we would do for them? Or
we could.
Okay.
Or a plan, or if you approach them with something useful, you've created enough of a connection, they will run with that.
We might get into Mosul and find something there that we could use their help with.
Right. Yeah,
We could also talk to them about like setting up surveillance infrastructure like within Mosul that we could tap into outside of the
That's
city.
assuming they don't already have.
They're more,
but maybe not the technology that they have.
They're less SIGINT and more like man on the ground, like person to person.
Human, yeah.
Correct. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. I think SIGINT is an angle, but the question is, do they trust inserting, say, 3 to 5 Americans with fake IDs and relying on their SIGINT, or is it more risky for them to utilize their communication or entry into Mosul with the thought that you guys might blow their cover, kind of a thing? So you need to convince them some way. It needs to be more than just kind of a lucky roll, if that makes sense. Like,
I don't think that we're really relying on them to get us into Mosul. I think we're looking for a safe house inside.
Okay. And I think that that's the thing. If you change the conversation, maybe that changes a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that was, I think that was our primary goal, was a safe house.
Okay.
But we were all, I think in our conversation, I was like, if we could have help with incursion, that would be great. But
if the ask becomes more specific, then it is more role dependent.
It depends on what we use our identities for while we're there. Like if we're going to go posing as medical personnel at the hospital, that becomes our safe house at that point.
Yeah.
Right. But are we going for, what was it, covert or
Clandestine.
Clandestine. Are we looking to blend in or are we looking to hide?
I thought we were going to blend in because we're not going to be able to do a lot of investigation if we're having to hide all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Whatever you guys want to do. I think ultimately this game is getting to a point where likely you are splitting the team and you have a team in Mosul and a team supporting the Mosul offensive. So I just think before you make that leap, you probably want to think about supply lines, communication, where you're going to stay, what you're going to do, what your objectives are, what you're going to target. I just think you want to think about that. I think we're getting close to that point of the game.
We want to get to the survivors for intel there. We want to check out the university for ties to Rassams. We want to check out the ruins of Nineveh, but that's a caveat because that place is hot.
Yeah.
So we need surveillance done on that area first of some kind. We need to check into the secret police and their ties to the fucking immortal guy that doesn't get killed by CIA missiles somehow.
Right.
Lucky.
Sure. That's how this game works.
Just luck. It's like that guy who got shot in the head by a sniper in Band of Brothers. Just got lucky.
Are we...
It's fucking crazy.
When we go in, are we taking an elder sign with us?
I think we probably should.
I do think the Elder Sign is something you guys should discuss.
Is that something that we're going to try and make when we find where we need it, or are we taking one with us?
I vote take one with us.
You do have the stopper as well.
No, the stopper is on the Amphora.
We did put it on the M4.
Oh, really? I
Yes,
guess I
it
forgot
got
that.
buried.
Sorry.
Yep, we did just inscribe it on.
The stopper for the smaller vessel. Yeah.
Sort of.
What do you guys think?
I think somebody needs to go that can do it at least.
Rather have it than not need it, than need it and not have it.
And again, you sort of have, ostensibly, you're talking about 3 teams. You've got a team in England, you've got a team in
Kirkuk, and one going into Mosul.
Well, I was also going to say you have a team in Baghdad. Too.
Speaking of which, so our plans were to wrap up in Baghdad, possibly secure the tablets for transport to London for the UK, depending on how conversations go.
Okay.
And
I think that's part of the conversation he was not privy to.
It was.
And then the people in Baghdad are going to return to base for insertion into Mosul.
So it's Captain Dan and Mary. Who are in
Baghdad.
Yep.
I'll allow probably a bureaucracy roll from either of those 2 characters if they want.
It's probably Mary.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, he's got 30.
50 is probably enough. I'll give it to you without a roll. You already know with the way that those guys have been inserted into England, Gwent would not sign off on you taking those tablets out of Iraq and taking them to England. Doesn't mean that you can't, but you get the sense that the program would not be happy with that.
So the program don't need to know.
I mean, the program was basically saying you're allowed to tell them we need between X and Y. Now, the 2 in England can play that out however they want, but last time I checked, they were talking in the bathroom with the fan on and whispering into each other's ear so that they couldn't be overheard by MI5 or whatever.
Right.
That's their thought anyway. So it's not that you can't do it, but just that's very obvious that if they didn't want you talking about what you knew, taking the fucking tablets to England would probably not make Gwent happy. You can do what you want, but Gwent wasn't happy with you learning the Elder Sign either.
Yeah. Okay. What other equipment and shit do we need to get together to go into Mosul?
So Mary's got basically her equipment that she carries with her for cell surveillance, ISMI catching, stuff like that. She's just got that stuff with her. I'm guessing it's a couple electronics and external stuff for her laptop or whatever. So
does Mary have crafting electronics or anything like that?
Yes,
she does.
She does. Good. Okay.
Yeah, craft electronics 50.
Yeah. Rubini's got a laptop with large library of reports, classified analysis of hacking techniques, and more established literature on advanced language studies.
So,
and has craft microelectronics.
Okay.
So between the 2 of them, they should be able to make whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, whatever plan we want to put together, we should know how to do it.
So what kind of plan do we want to put together?
So into Mosul, I think the hospital needs to be our primary target when we get there. I think it's the safest location that we can insert in without scrutiny. Yeah. It has our primary target of the survivors, which is on a timetable. They won't be there forever, and we can start there. Once we get into Mosul, though, we're gonna have to play the SIGINT game at that point to figure out what's going on the ground. Yeah, the secret police, what's going on at the ruins of Nineveh, this cult, is it prevalent there? Any further attacks, sightings?
Yeah. I'm not sure what kind of SIGINT capabilities we're going to have inside there. How much infrastructure is in there?
Well,
that's still intact.
We'll be there within range to catch cell signals. So
yeah, that's true. Okay.
We might be able to hack a local security network for camera footage.
Right. That's the stuff that I'm not sure what's actually working and what's not. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
It depended on how much stuff is damaged. I mean, the camera footage, I would assume we would have better luck with cameras at the college than we would at.
What we can't
probably
figure
store
out,
it on a local server.
What we can't figure out with SIGINT, though, we can try to figure out with human. So.
Yeah.
So the real question is nailing down our infiltration team on top of it. So who's going? Obviously, the two in London are not.
I think
those two.
Al Rabini should stay out.
Yeah, I think the danger is blowing our cover.
So Mary's getting the SIGINT and feeding it out to Al Rabini for analysis.
That works.
Okay.
Is Mary going to have trouble in Mosul?
As a white woman, maybe. She'd have to have a cover that explains why she's there from.
I didn't realize that she knew Kurdish and Turkey. Oh, and Arabic.
Pretty well.
I mean, to be fair, ISIS has recruits from around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think as long as she's careful about where she goes, she'll be okay. Again, another proponent for starting at the hospital.
Yep.
I also don't know how many people we have currently training in anything.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I felt like Warner was training.
2 people were training.
Who was training?
Warner and Captain Dan. 2 more days.
What was Captain Dan training in?
Criminology. I shouldn't have probably let him go to do all that stuff with the Elder Sign, but it was really cool. So
okay.
I'm kind of letting it slide. I'm giving.
So bare minimum before we insert, we've got 2 days of training that have to be finished if we're sending both of them.
And you have to keep in mind, Captain Dan is in Mosul. I assume Warner is in Kirkuk.
Correct. Okay. Dan's in Baghdad, not Mosul.
Or sorry, with Mary, Baghdad.
Well, we'll need at least that long because if we're both leaving Baghdad, we can't just leave the tablets. So we need to figure out what we're doing.
Your research assistant will be fine.
Al Rabini can probably relocate to Baghdad. If we're talking about sending Captain Dan, Jennifer, and Olsen into Mosul, are Landry or Warner going with?
I think Landry would.
Landry's the one with connections to the Peshmerga.
Yeah, so we want him.
Warner's a medic.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel
He's
like
also somebody who can watch Al Rabini's back.
I feel like Landry would be what would be his purpose? Muscle. And the connection with the Peshmerga and bureaucracy. He's got a pretty high bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Who is our face?
Jennifer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she speaks Kurdish.
Sweet.
Not that I'm going to play it up, but having a female face for ISIL may or may not work out well for you. Just something to think about.
Okay, the female brigade. What is that?
Al-Hanza.
Al-Hanza, I think.
What purview do they have? Are they just over keeping track of women?
Let me look.
Okay.
I feel like that is correct, but let me look because, again, white guy from the Middle West. Or from the Midwest.
Right. I have no idea.
No, I had never heard about it until this game.
Did you just call it the Middle West? I love that. We're in the Middle West.
Not the Middle East. The Middle West.
There's going to be one. There's got to be the other, right?
Yeah.
Landry is what's his ethnicity?
I think he's a white guy. I don't see anything that specifies.
Sorry, Landry. I wasn't paying attention.
All of the characters were picked.
He's half Qatari.
All of the characters, all of the player characters were selected because they theoretically could be inserted. So it's not like any of the player characters would stand out in Mosul like a sore thumb, if that makes sense. Okay. There's some of them that are maybe better suited than others, but all of them could be inserted. So it's not like you have some people that are like, holy crap, you are definitely not going to fit in.
Yeah. I was thinking if we need a front man.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad choice.
So here, this is actually, I'm just going to read this straight out of the book because I think A, it's fascinating, B, it's informative, and C, it gives a little perspective. So this literally is a paragraph, a couple of paragraphs out of the book called Female Agents in Mosul. ISIL's restrictions on women are draconian. Shocker there. Mere communication between a woman and a man who are not related by blood or marriage threatens unwanted attention and can lead to violent repercussions. To keep their cover, female agents going into Mosul must travel as the wives or daughters of male agents, or else pose as ISIL, quote, religion police, end quote, officers of the tiny Al-Khanza Brigade. Al-Khanza Brigade is tasked with enforcing the laws of other women's behavior. It goes on to list arrests, beatings, lashings, or worse for wearing the wrong clothes or presenting insufficiently meek attitudes. Members are often drawn from foreign recruits, are 18 to 25 years old, and are trained for a month. They're said to be the only women in ISIL allowed to drive and carry weapons. Posing as Al-Khanza provides a useful excuse for travel, but the, quote, brigade is small, only a few dozen strong when it was formed in 2014. Agents must take care if they encounter anyone who knows its members. So as a face, it may be difficult, but for travel or for enforcing sort of Sharia law, not necessarily a bad thing.
I think after hearing that, personally, I think it might be better to pose as
Spouses.
Yeah.
Well, we're going in there with 2 covers, right?
You do have multiple covers, yes.
One of Jennifer's, I would say, should be Al-Khanza.
Yeah. She's 20 years too old, but yeah.
Olsen,
She covers up. She could probably pass it.
play as a wife or
And
a wife or a daughter.
her picture, she could pass for younger.
How old is she?
41.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wife.
Yeah.
But eyes don't age well, so.
So yeah, I'm not focusing on the sexist aspect, but just kind of again the historical perspective. I think it's important to kind of note these things,
Right.
But B, it is in fact a challenge kind of for your agents. So I don't want to ignore it, but I'm not going to highlight it either because fuck ISIL. I hope they all burn in hell if hell's a real thing.
Why'd you want to know about the criminology?
I was wondering about the possibility of hacking a bank.
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
dun, dun.
Creating an account, dumping fake funds into it, especially if you're in
Baghdad. Yeah.
I didn't know if that. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know, but I don't mind playing Ocean's 11 Mosul. Like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why I couldn't at least try.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I don't even think you even have to be on site. It's all done externally.
The other thing I would say, I've talked about how folks have multiple identities and we can play through that. You could have, and again, in the chart here, it gives like 3 to 4 options for each male. It only really gives 2 options for females because either it's sort of the Al-Khanza Brigade or it's you're simply a citizen of the Islamic State. So female characters are probably going to have less agency because ISIL is a bunch of misogynistic pricks.
What options does it suggest for male?
So a citizen of the state residing in Mosul, an inspector from Al-Hizba or the Al-Khanza Brigade, an officer of Amin al-Dakhili, a unit of the Secret Service, an officer of Amn al-Askari, a unit of the Secret Service. It seems like there are slight differences in what those 2 services do. Amn al-Dakhili is law and order. Amn al-Askari is reconnaissance and special operations.
I mean, we're talking about official organizations here,
Correct.
but there's also the academic community. I mean, Iraq is the birthplace of humanity, so there's tons of archaeological activity there, especially during wartime because they're trying to save artifacts from being destroyed.
I'll skip the official names, but a citizen of the state, the morality or religious police, which is Al-Khanza is a part of that, Secret Service for law and order, Secret Service for reconnaissance and special operations, counterintelligence, which is Amn al-Dawa. Yeah, what do you think about that, Jeffbot? Amn al-Dawa, which is counterintelligence, and then Amn al-Kad.
Jeff might die tonight.
Amn al-Kharji, which is secret operations conducted outside the caliphate. So a lot of like secret service and counterintelligence.
So what was the one after Secret Service, Law and Order, or Secret Service what?
Reconnaissance and special operations.
Okay. So which one of those do you think would be more likely to be someone coming into the city that you would say, oh, I'm part of this group, and it makes sense that they don't see you around, or because would recon make the most sense in special?
Which character are we talking about?
Nasser.
Law and Order.
You think so? But what
The character.
What's
What's
that?
his bureaucracy role?
70.
Right. The guy who understands the machinations of the machine.
I'm with you there. My concern is that brigade would be more likely to be stationed in Mosul, and so I would be more likely to run into other people that are part of the Law and Order brigade, and they'd be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Whereas if you were recon and special,
there's always divisions though in those organizations that,
and the Law and Order is going to have way more people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
You may not know. You wouldn't know everybody.
like, there's always a bigger fish in that.
Yeah, special operations can be a lot tighter.
Okay.
Some of the paperwork would say that you're from Syria, for example, that you're coming from Raqqa. So you wouldn't be a part of that group.
Okay, that's helpful.
I'm texting the Islamic names to you now if you want to Google.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Shockingly, my understanding of the language is probably a bit rough.
That ain't the way to have fun, son. That ain't the way to have fun, son.
Our title track, Mama Told Me Not to Come, composed by friend of the podcast Ian Shannon, with additional vocals by Lucas Patterson and Cody Grady. You can find more of Ian's work at sleepfortheweary.com. Like what you heard? Check out more episodes online at rancorsbrothel.com, YouTube, or anywhere you can download podcasts. Enjoy talking nerdy? Follow the podcast with other listeners on the Fans of the Rancors Brothel Facebook page. Most of all, keep circulating the tapes. Much love, everybody.
It is, I don't want to see Mama told